Yeah, just we can start with the sessions one by one after I introduce about the program and give you some basic ground rules, what has to be done and what has to be followed for the smooth functioning of the program. So I will be the host for your day, and I can try to talk to all the people who have joined us in terms of text, and we can have the session going on with all the speakers. Once they complete in terms of question and answers, I will take the questions that you guys are posting in the chat box, and by that we can have the smooth running of this session. So yes, let's get started. So it's one-day training program on e-mobility, with the agenda of the day being that first session will be spoken by Mr. Pradeep Kumar. It will be about the policy landscape in India. Next, it will be followed by having an introduction about the e-Vahanam application, the application that we have built to create the awareness and spread the topics about electric vehicles. Then we have the next session about basics of EV and battery system, followed by dynamics of EV adoption, EV selection and management. The final will be an interesting session about gender equality and social inclusion. So yes, before we begin, just a couple of ground rules. Please don't unmute yourself until and unless you're asked to do, but I believe you all can stay muted and just text in terms of asking any doubts or queries to the speakers. And also please have your please stay till the end so that we will share you the feedback forms. And please have your phones somewhere around where it doesn't disrupt the meeting and it doesn't disrupt the decorum of the session. So I believe that will be the rules which we can all adopt and follow. Then I believe I would tell you about the future programs that we are intending to run. So it will be a program for people who are actually working in this industry. It is a niche industry, sustainability, climate change, electric vehicles. So in order to spread the awareness, in order to make people aware about this, we have brought you all the industrial people who have been experienced from a lot of years. So this is what we are planning to do for the next month. And please stay till the end. And I hope that you have a great session for the day. So without wasting a time, we will introduce our first speaker, Mr. Pradeep Kumar. So he is a person who has got more than 24 years of experience in the field of energy efficiency, energy management, renewable energy, and so on. He has worked with many municipalities and state governments. He has been quite handy in policy advocacy, has supported in a lot of implementation programs, and he has aided various government, non-government, and international development agencies. So he has also provided models for implementation of energy efficiency, climate change mitigation projects. For ESL, he has played a key role in developing the India's first ESCO business plan. He is also a certified measurement and verification professional by IEEE, and he has published many papers on energy efficiency, M&V, and carbon financing. So yes, without wasting a time and without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Pradeep. Sir, you can take over. Over to you.
Thank you, Asad. Thank you so much for the introduction. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. And you can share your screen.
Just is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Thank you, sir.
Once again, welcoming all the participants who are able to join it. And as Arshad mentioned, that this is a program where we are going to talk about how the e-mobility sector is growing in India, and both in terms of the policy tool which is available, and how the business fraternity, how the entrepreneurship, how the support system is getting it developed. So before I begin on the policy thing, I think it's important for all of us you to know that why this program and is is designed and who are the people behind it, who are the organization behind it, and under what banner we are doing this training and capacity building program. As you are aware, this is a part of our series of training and capacity building program, which we have been working on this subject. So this is just an outline of my presentation about, I'll give you just brief introduction, what is the UK-Pact and under which heading this program is getting it done, who are the project team members, who are the different companies involved, and why this e-mobility is important from climate change perspective, and yes, what kind of policy landscape the country has. And I will touch upon a bit on what is the business opportunities in e-mobility, which is important from all of you participant point of view as an entrepreneur, that how you can visualize yourself, either you are already into this field or thinking of getting it some kind of involvement with the business opportunity. About the UK-Pact program, as the name says, it's a UK-Pact, and this is a program which is supported by the British government, which is called Partnering for Accelerated Climate Transition. Is a part of UK's government commitment to, I would say, international climate finance portfolio to tackle the climate change. So every developed countries has been doing a bit. They are supporting this program. It's a 3-year program funded by Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. So UK-Pact has been doing in many such program to combat the climate change. Under basically the 2 themes they are working on that. One is called greening financial system, where they are really working on how the more and more fund can be better mobilized towards doing the action activities and capacity building for climate change mitigation activity. The theme 2 under which this program has been designed, which is called Electrifying the Urban Mobility, and this complete series of training and capacity building program is a part of the theme 2. So UK-Pact program basically designed to provide the capacity building through technical assistance. That is the main thing you need to understand, capacity building through the technical assistance. And this is from the aim of to make you informed decision makers, whether you are a business person, whether an entrepreneur, whether it's a policy maker, whether it's a student. So it's like we are making you aware from the subject point of view for the informed decision makers. And this entire thing is from the view of to inform, to raise the ambition and to implement accelerated actions on the emission reductions. That's the entire objective of UK-Pact of working on such a subject. So when it comes to electrifying urban mobility, and that's where, so what are the things it gets considered? It's a preparing and delivering action plan to enable faster uptake of electrical vehicles. You have been hearing almost every day now, there is a news by the government of India, some officials, some politician about the EV, the policy, their intent, what government is planning to do that, how the private sector is getting it geared up. So, and all these things require a lot of capacity building for the faster uptake, whether it's a 3-wheeler, e-rickshaw, whether it's a 2-wheeler, shared mobility. This is one part of that. Second part is very important to understand the redesigning of the public transport network. And that's where the government has to work a lot. And they have been working on that. So there is a capacity building program, even under this UK-Pact, where our another partner, which I'm going to mention, is they're working with the Kakinada Municipal Corporations, where this project especially is designed for them for KMC, who is Kakinada Municipal Corporation, where we are also working on redesigning the public transport network, analyzing the future mobility pattern, and keeping in mind that how it is going to have an impact on our electricity grid. So all these pieces has been considered while designing the program. And the third point is it's the developing a sustainable and scalable business model, which is very, very important and key from any kind of program perspective. Unless the program has a robust and sustainable business model, it's very difficult to scale it up. It's very difficult to replicate it at any I would say region or any country. So it's important to have a business model which is like possible to adopt it, possible to get it buy-in from the people who are interested in doing into this area. So as I said, these are the 3 capacity building area where we are working on that, and the project title, which call it that institutional capacity building framework. Institutional capacity building program to accelerate adoption of electric mobility in public transport, focusing on Kakinada. We have been doing this program in close partnership with the Kakinada Municipal Corporation, and we are fortunate to have a very good and healthy support from the Commissioner of KMC, including the Smart City Corporations. We have been working on a different pieces on the capacity building program. So who are the people behind it? Who are the organization, the project team? Basically, there are 3 organizations involved in that. Greentree, who have been working on mainly on the capacity building and training activity with the different kind of stakeholders, which start with the student, academia, to the people who are user of e-mobility, potential user of e-mobility, plus the business houses, the bank, the financier. They're all doing that. There's another organization called RTI, International Research Triangle Institute, is very famous, who has been working on developmental activities since many decades, and who are the main partner of this program. They've worked on different state on that. UMTC, another important partner of us, Urban Mass Transit Company. They have been working very closely with the expertise they have. They have expertise in working with the government agencies on designing and developing the urban mass transport complete component. I would say it's not the one piece of that, but they have expertise in that. They have working with APSRTC, the government of India, the government of Andhra Pradesh, with the different funding institutes like ILNFS and IIDC. So we are the 3 organizations who have worked, came together to deliver this training and capacity building program, and everybody is doing their own pieces. So just to give you that, who are Greentree Global? And Greentree Global it's a company who primarily work on energy efficiency and climate change issue with a variety of sectors. We have been working with many developmental agencies like USAID, ADB, ICF, IFC. So and especially on working on with the state, with the sectors, with the SME, with the building sector, and on supporting the international development program, which addresses the energy efficiency and climate change issue. Worked on USAID Eco-Nirman project with the UNDP on the ECBC subject, energy efficiency action plan for the many states. We have also worked on the doing a training and capacity building program, the countrywide, I would say, BE supported energy auditors and managers exam. Also work with different state on the school energy efficiency program, where we have tried to educate school level energy efficiency activity on that. So the team is like having a diverse experience in terms of the implementation, to policy advocacy, to training and capacity building program. To support this thing, Greentree has its own separate vertical. We call it GT Academy. It's an educational initiative of the Greentree Global, under which all kind of capacity building program for variety of a stakeholder has been carried out. This is the verticals which is specially designed at how the professionals, how the academia can be really further, their knowledge can be further enhanced from the practicality point of view, the practical experience, bridging the gap between the academia and the private sector. So with the expertise, the knowledge, with the people who work with the industrial sector, how they interact with the student, with the final year the student, how the professional, the specialized training program take the example of this e-mobility. Although we are doing this training program is more like awareness one, but we have a dedicated training program which is like specially designed on the battery, the ecosystem, the manufacturing, the electronic part. So there are many things which we are doing under the GT Academy. People you are interested can get in touch with us to know about what are the different pieces of the training activity which will do it, which ranges from 3 to 4 hours to 4 or to up to a week long program, depending upon the interest of the people which is carried out. So this is just a brief background on where the Greentree Group stand in terms of doing the training and capacity building program. Now, why we are doing it? I mean, we all know that this is very important to promote the e-mobility in India, and it has a direct linkages of climate change that all, whether it's the government of India, whether it's the international community, we are all doing it to how the part of our mitigation strategy to the climate change, and which most of you are aware about that as per the Paris Agreement, which is ratified by 174 country, we have to hold the global temperature rise within 2 degrees centigrade. And based on the past few years experience, we have also known that this goal of keeping 2 degrees centigrade is not sufficient enough. The kind of change of weather pattern, the sea level pattern, the heat wave which we have faced, is the kind of rain pattern which we have seen it is very significant and evident that this 2 degree keeping it under 2 degrees is not going to be sufficient enough, and that is where that faster adoption of e-mobility as a one component to mitigate the climate change is very important. And we have seen it that how the different government, including the India government, is working very hard on promoting it to I would say minimize the localized emission of every city where the transport is one of the main cause of the emission on the roads. So there's a right on the side one graph which shows that, I mean, how it is the kind of rate of change of the sea level, which is like almost like 3.4 millimeter per year, and that's poses a very danger to the cities which are located near to the sea, and most of the dense cities are located near to the sea, and that those cities are under the very threat. So this is very alarming and very important for all of us to really understand the concern behind this promoting such concept of e-mobility or anything which requires human behavior, human practices to intervene. So, so the part of the decarbonization, I'm not going into the detail of that. There are many activity which is technical, non-technical activity which has been going on, which has to go on. And broadly, from the technical point of view, broadly the three pillar, I would say, where the effort has been going on, which has best practices has been already laid out. It's like on the energy efficiency side, it's very important to understand that anything which consumes energy, the guzzlers of the energy efficiency has to be improved. So there's a one way to do support the decarbonization is like improve the energy efficiency, decarbonize electricity production wherever it's getting it produced. That huge amount of emission happens because our country not much hydro or gas power plant is there. So basically we are the coal-based power plant. So that's where a lot of effort already has been going on to combat the climate change. And the third component, which is called electrification of the energy consumption, that's where it's coming down. That's where our project, like how we are shifted from oil-based transport to electricity-based transport to I would say minimize the localized city level emission pattern of any congested city. So this is the possible solution. I would say that when talk about that, there are many other solutions to combat the climate change, but technically from the subject point of view, we have listed these three solutions on the end. So EV, I mean, This doesn't require any further justification that electrical cars pollute less when powered with the dirtiest energy sources like oil, petrol, or diesel we are talking about. So many studies have shown that, and one of the studies says that electrical vehicle compared to gasoline cars, their emissions are lower, or 51% lower than any electrical gasoline based car. And when it comes to, there are different research studies has been carried out with a small car, big car, luxury cars, all kind of cars has been taken into the research study. And we have found a life cycle the life cycle period, the emission, it's the EV vehicle has a 25% lower life cycle impact than any IC engine based car, which is very significant when you talk about the complete car getting it transferred, or 70 to 80% of the entire fleet is getting it transferred into the electrical mobility. So it doesn't require further justification when it comes to making a decision to buy EV. The only hindrance is that how the country is placed from the support system point of view. And that's where we have a series of sessions lined up where we are going to talk about that, how the business fraternity it's gearing it up to support the EV movement in India, how the government policy is really showing their intent to support this e-mobility plan in India. So just to touch upon the life cycle, how and when the country has started talking about the e-mobility, it was like 2013, or almost like 8 or 9 years back, when India first came out with the initial intent in terms of the National Electric Mobility Mission Plan NEM. In 2013, there they have shown the intent that the country is going to a revolution where we are going to have a electrical based vehicle on the road and popularization. Within a 2 year, in 2015, the first actionable plan which has came, which was FAME, faster adoption of hybrid and electrical vehicles, and government has allocated around 900 crore to show their intent that yes, we are serious, we are going to have it, the e-mobility strategy for almost all the state where it is going to deploy it. And that in 2017, government announces plan to transform India into e-vehicle ecosystem. It is very important to understand e-vehicle. When it comes to e-mobility, it's not only the car or scooter or buses, the support system, the ecosystem, the charging, the component, the after sales service, the complete support system, which we call it as the ecosystem, is very important. So in 2017, the government has came out with a further reinforcement their commitment that in 2000 by 2013 the complete ecosystem is going to be created, and and the further to support that, show their real interest into the subject. In 2019, India has announced the FAME 2, the FAME 1 what with 1,000 crore of allocation. When FAME 2 was announced, it was like 10,000 crore was allocated for the 3 year to support this industry. And that is what shows the complete seriousness of the government of India, that they are going to have a revolution in terms of changing the way the transport sector is going to evolve in India. 10,000 crore over 3 years, a huge amount, and that's where the different, I would say, the ministerial body under the government of India, Ministry of Transport, MSME, who started working together and working on that, how the complete ecosystem can be developed. It as per the Niti Aayog, they say target to have a 40% of the new sales of vehicle by e-vehicle, and that is what in the next 10 years by 2030, and that is what the Niti Aayog says. And the way it is happening, the way this government is talking, I think before that itself there will be a lot of e-vehicle going to be on the road. So this is what the FAME, which I have talked about, which was having it around 900 crore sanction, which is on the purchase of e-buses, 3-wheeler and 2-wheeler. The FAME period was 2015 to 19. phase 2 was 2019 to 2022 with allocation of 10,000 crore, but recently how this money is going to be utilized, whether it's 10,000 crore or how it is going to be, is for the demand incentive, how the demand for the e-vehicle needs to be increased, how people can be aware, people can be made aware to make a decision to buy e-vehicle, and how the manufacturer, the vendor, the support system, the charging station, how those things can really be brought into that. And that's where a government allocation of this 10,000 crores has been done. And if you see that in the current financial year and the coming 2 year, it's going to be very critical from this point of view, that most of the money is going to be utilized in the next 2 year times to support this sector into that. So FAME 2 has been extended for the 2 years to 2024 202 for the government, where the government has working aggressively on 2 and 3 watt and buses amendment notification has been done. There has been a lot of incentive announced for the increase in demand incentive of 15,000 per kilowatt hour from 10,000, the maximum kind of 40% of the cost of the vehicle. ESL, which is a government subsidiary, some of you might be knowing, is it's like quasi-government bodies working with many state government in terms of promoting this EV movement at the municipal level, at the city level. There are many other city like Kakinada Municipal Corporation, Kakinada City Corporation, and all. They are working aggressively on promoting these things, both from public buses transport, from the private, from the autos, and that's where a lot of work has been going on under the FAME too. So this is a dashboard, I would say, easily available. Anybody can access it. It's so across India, you will see that the e-movement, the purchase of the vehicles, it's a very dynamic site. It gets updated almost like every second day, the kind of number of vehicles gets sold, what kind of buses government has procured it under the FAME 1 or 2, and corresponding what is the carbon reduction, what is the fuel saved from that procurement, from that decision which the government has taken it. So anybody can have access to this dashboard to see that which state is performing in what way. So now just coming on the AP and Andhra Pradesh, how the AP has acted. Since this project is especially designed for Kakinada Municipal Corporation, just to give you a snapshot on that, AP has acted very fast when the government of India has come out with a e-mobility policy. In 2016 itself, the AP has come out with a very detailed and very committed policy, which was empowered in 2018, and they started working on many policies. And very important to notice that in AP, that government has tied up with the educational institution, which is important to understand that how government was serious that unless there is going to be a skilled workforce, unless there is an educational institute, and when you talk about the educational institute, all the training and institute also, it's going to be geared up to prepare the skill set which is required to serve the industry. The scaling up the replication is not going to be easy, and that's where the Andhra government was very pioneer, I would say, in terms of recognizing that need, and they had tied up with the education institute to work on this e-mobility program, and that shows the fruits now, that the program is spreading very fast in AP. So they have almost like 14 notified EV policy with a different state. So they have like a lot of other initiative which has taken the kind of potential they talked about. Like one of the estimate, they say that almost like the 60,000 personnel which is going to be required to support this e-mobility program in the next 1 or 2 years. They have also targeting around 10,000 electrical buses fleet in the next 10 years. like 10 lakhs EV mobilization in the next 2 years, which includes all kind of vehicle, whether it's a two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, or buses. So investment, which is important to understand, 30,000 crore in the next 2 years, which is a huge amount, and that's where the business opportunities is going to lie. That this is a number which is government of Andhra Pradesh as one state has really quoting it. They have a plan. They have a plan to support the manufacturing unit of the electric buses fleet, BEV and FCV, fuel cell electrical vehicle, battery electrical vehicle, and they have also now announced the phasing out policy for the logistic vehicle and the fossil fuel based by in 2024, and that shows the real intent that they are working on all component of promoting the e-mobility. In that, for the charging station, they are targeting around 1 lakh slow and fast charging station in the next 1 to 2 years. They are also into the supporting the industrial development, the EV park, which you're talking about, the subsidies for the financial assistance, for the ancillary unit, for the land allocation. All this thing has been considered, whether you're talking about the swapping station, whether you're talking about the charging station, there is a financial support and incentive. So in totality, the government of Andhra Pradesh has a policy which covers almost all angle where the entrepreneur, where the business houses can really come forward and start thinking about making their future in this sector, and that kind of policy landscape in India. Now, just to briefly touch upon that, what kind of business opportunity is there? I mean, it's only sale of EV vehicle or what? So just to give you that, India is expected to have a 30% of their vehicle in the next 30 years. Although the Niti Aayog has said 40%, but the very realistic, very conservative, even the 30% of the vehicle in the next 10 years is going to be EV based. Then currently with one of the numbers like 23 crore vehicles we are talking about. So 10 crore vehicles is going to be either transformed into a EV vehicle. So that is the kind of potential we are talking about. So 10 crore EV vehicle means increase in vehicle population will require a huge ecosystem. That means the business opportunity for or equipment manufacturer and component company. So according to the estimate of MSME, which you call the Ministry of Skill Development and Enterprise, the EV alone will create 1 crore job. That means that much of entrepreneurship or business opportunity is going to be in the next 1 crore by 2030 to 2030. And one of the very bare estimate that every one job is going to be required around indirect job, which is going to be created. So almost like we are talking about a 4 to 5 crore of people who are getting it involved into the e-mobility program across India. So this is some kind of estimate, some kind of number, and we have seen it practically how fast it is growing it with especially from the two-wheeler or three-wheeler perspective. Government is working on the buses fleet, and then that's where the municipal corporation and city corporation is working very hard on how they are going to really scale it up at a large scale program. So where are the opportunities? So there are opportunities with the R&D. There's a lot of work where it's going to be needed. It's going on where the R&D opportunity, whether you're talking about the battery charging, recharging, fuel, material sources, versus battery management systems, all these things, the R&D sector with a lot of business opportunities there. Design and development, whether you're talking about electronic circuits, software applications, consumer, durable, lightweight, everything. It's all is opening up with a business opportunity, whether it's talking about the chemical related, electrical, electronic, mechanical, industrial engineer, all has the opportunity to really pitch it into to support this industry. The manufacturing itself, it's going to be opening up a lot of areas, which is the machine, robots, quality testing, plastic modeling. Everything is going to evolve very fast to support the need of this industry. Infrastructure development, that is another piece which is going to be very big, the ecosystem part, that charging system, the high power electrical, renewable energy based charging, all this thing is going to open up the business opportunity for the new entrepreneurships. So this is just an overview that how the EV sector is going to look like in terms of the business opportunity. And I'm sure there could be, and you guys must have many thought and many ideas that which might be emerging it based on your exposure to the industry and the presentation which I made it. So we will be very happy to have questions on anything on this sector, depending upon the with the time which we are going to have it. So you can start, you can keep sending the question to the chat box, and we will ensure that during the program of the day, we will address those questions. Thank you. Thank you, Arshad. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was indeed insightful presentation that you had given, and honestly, I believe it has really been good. And I feel like people have already started thinking about procuring an electric vehicle, and so I believe we'll see one day that we get to see the more and more EV in our streets and cities. So thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. Well, I guess we have one question, I guess. So if you would be open to take it, I can ask you. The question is that what is tailgate emissions? So something on that would be good. Pradeep, sir? Hello, sir. Were you able to listen to my question?
Arshad, maybe I can take this up. Maybe
Yes,
Pradeep
sir.
sir
Yes,
is having
sir.
some audio glitch.
No worries, sir. Yeah.
So I think the answer is tailgate has normally it is used in a similar connotation as tailpipe emissions, which is essentially the exhaust that you emit out of your vehicle. In electric vehicles, these emissions become important because when you are looking at the overall emissions, we are not just looking at emissions from the vehicle exhaust, but the amount of energy, the amount of emissions that are generated when you generate the energy for powering that vehicle. So for a conventional vehicle, of course, there is a fuel which powers a car, but for an electric vehicle, there is a power station somewhere which is burning some coal, probably, and also generating certain emissions. So when we look at the overall emissions, tailpipe emissions or tailgate emissions is just one part of the emission, and the other emission is the amount of emissions you generate when you actually generate the energy to power the vehicle. So that's how you compare the two, which one is more polluting, ICE or an electric vehicle.